Good evening, representatives of the armed forces, those families represented here, friends of the Tilawa project. It's my great honor to join you tonight to mark the tragic loss of 280 lives 80 years ago. And first let me thank Vice Admiral I.C. Rao and the Solanki family for the inspiring work that they have done to bring this story back to present times and to keep it in our memories. As well as we've heard, remembering the journey of the Tilawa and the tragic loss of life, we also remember the role that HMS Birmingham and SS Carthage played in the recovery of 678 survivors. His Majesty's government honours all those who lost their lives during the Second World War and all those whose service and sacrifice ensured the Allied victory. Today's event is only 2 weeks after our UK and Commonwealth countries' National Service of Remembrance. And here in Mumbai, we brought together not just the Deputy High Commission, but many of those nations who fought in the Second World War. And we asked that we paid our respects together to all of those who perished and those whose sacrifice we should remember. During that service, we also took time to remember the life of Her late Majesty, who led my country and our Commonwealth for 70 years, and who led our service of remembrance from London almost every year of those 70 years of her reign. During the service, we also remembered the life of a much-loved former British Deputy High Commissioner, my predecessor, Mr. Percy Norris, who on the 28th of November in 1984 was very sadly assassinated in this city. And we lay a wreath each year, much like you're doing, we lay a wreath each year for Mr. Norris and his family. And it would be my great privilege and the privilege of the British Deputy High Commission in Mumbai if you would allow us to lay a wreath each year in our National Service of Remembrance for the victims of the Tilawa tragedy. Thank you. In doing so, you would allow us to recognize the critical role India and Indians played in the war effort, including some 14 million people from your country who worked round the clock to provide critical supplies that were instrumental to the victory. Supplies that included 196 million tons of coal, 6 million tons of iron ore, 1.12 million tons of steel, turned into 25 million pairs of shoes, 37,000 silk parachutes, and 4 million cotton parachutes. A huge sacrifice from the people of India, from here, this place, to ensure a victory and that freedom and peace and the lives that we have today were assured. The UK government fully supports your efforts to ensure that the victims of this tragedy are not forgotten. So it has been a great privilege to listen to the inspiring work of the Solanki family, but also to meet Arvindbhai Jani, who until some moments ago would have been the last known survivor of this tragedy, sir. But it is a great privilege for me to meet you and to have heard your family's story. And to know that from 2007, the Solanki family have been telling the story of this tragedy to ensure that those lost at sea will never be forgotten. And I want to thank you for that service. We've had the great privilege to listen to Mr. Mervyn Maciel from, I believe, South London. He was 13 years of age and in Bombay when he lost his parents and 3 young siblings. A year later, in November 1944, on the first anniversary of the Tilawa tragedy, at only 14 years old, he composed a poem, which he then later published in his book, Buana Karanai. And it is my privilege to read his poem today for all of those lost in this tragedy and for the families who keep their memory alive. In Memoriam by Melvin Maciel. My mother was snatched at too early an age. My father soon followed that same old stage, and left us 3 brothers quite helpless alone to bear the yoke that they had borne. My mother's death took place at home, where all of us did weep and mourn, but my father's death was a death at sea. It tore our hearts and orphaned 3. My dad with stepmom and children 3 was sailing to Africa, full of glee. He smilingly said, "I'll come back soon," but we knew not death would call so soon. So sudden God's summons, so quick the deep sea, did swallow them all, O destiny. No time to say farewell, no time to say wait. Death's cold gatekeeper had opened the gate. And now that he's gone, we can remember naught, but trust in God, for that's our lot. And trusting in him who reigns on high, we'll patiently wait till the end draws nigh. Then Daddy and Mummy soon shall we meet, when death has silenced our last heartbeat. Together then we'll live forever and ever. In heaven so beautiful, we shall part no never. Thank you.